Yun, so good morning everyone. Welcome na naman sa ating channel at isang malamig na umaga sa ating lahat. So medyo ngayon, ramdam na natin ang ating Pasko. No? So ngayon, meron na naman tayong panibagong topic guys dito sa ating channel na pag-uusapan. Pero bago ang lahat, gusto ko munang magpasalamat sa ating mga subscriber from different school. Ayan. So meron akong listahan dito ng mga alam natin na sumusuporta, yung mga iba, bago. For example, salamat sa mga taga-estudyante ng University of Mindanao. Ayan, guys. So nakakatuwa lang, nakakatuwa na medyo lumalayo na yung ating inaabot, So patuloy lang nating i-like at i-subscribe ang ating channel para nang sa ganun ay dumami pa, Yung mga estudyante rin natin galing pamantasan ng lungsod ng Marikina, ayan, hello po kayo diyan, salamat sa pagsuporta, lalo na rin yung mga taga Southway College of Technology, yan, mga taga Socotec, So, ilan lamang ito guys sa mga schools na sumusuporta sa ating channel, yung mga estudyanteng nanonood galing sa mga schools nito. Marami pong salamat, of course, di rin mawawala yung dito sa Luzon, Ayan, Aldersgate College sa Solano, kay Ma'am Leia, Kamusta po kayong lahat, Salamat sa pagsuporta sa ating channel, Siyempre, batiin ko na rin yung aking alma mater na alam ko marami pa rin tayong estudyanteng nanonood dyan, Hello kayo dyan sa PLT College Incorporated, So, salamat sa pagsuporta kahit di na ako nagtuturo dyan. So, siyempre, yung mga estudyante ko rin dito, sa ISU Jones Isabela. Hello po sa inyong lahat. Kamusta? Kasali na rin pala yung mga viewers natin from ISU Kawayan kasi meron din po dyan, And then UCV Gonzaga, ayan, hello po, AUF din, meron din tayo si Sir George Sarmento, hello po kayo. Pati overseas, meron rin, meron din tayong viewers from Spain, hello po, kamusta? So yun guys, yung mga masugid nating taga-subaybay, sa ating channel, At ako po'y natutuwa at nagpapasalamat sa inyong walang sawang pagsuporta at panonood sa ating channel. Okay? So, wala nang pasakali, pasensya na. Gusto ko lang din na batiin ang ating mga subscriber, bago tayo mag-proceed sa ating talakayan sa ngayong araw na ito, So, ngayon guys, ang pag-uusapan natin, meron kasi akong na-encounter dito. Actually, sinerch ko talaga siya kasi gusto ko siyang i-discuss sa inyo. Meron yung research na ginawa ng United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. Ito ay patungkol doon sa effect ng COVID-19 pandemic to the criminality. Kasi alam naman natin, maraming naging epekto ang pandemic na ito, hindi lang sa ating health system, pero kasali na rin dito yung ating mga issues na pinag-uusapan under the field of criminology. So tignan natin guys, ang naging epekto ng pandemic, dito sa ating issues on criminality, ang naging sanhi ba yung pagdating ng pandemic sa paglobo ng kriminalidad, At kung yun nga yung nangyari, tignan natin kung ano nga ba yung posibleng naka-apekto dito, Kung ano yung kumbaga is dumagdag doon sa pre-existing stressors or factors that are already existing pre-pandemic time, O hindi naman kaya, kung bumaba man, ano kaya yung mga naging dahilan bakit bumaba, So maraming may classification kasi yung report dito guys, kung papansinin natin, Meron tayong mga property crimes, mga crimes against person and so on. Pero ang gusto kong i-focus muna ngayon guys is yung report nila with regards to property crimes, Eto, sabi nga dito, basahin natin, reported robbery and theft, which are all property crimes. Alam naman natin yan, they are classified as property crimes. Ano? Yung reported robbery, theft, and burglary, no, nag-decline according to the UNODC, no, uh, significantly, no, nag-fall siya by more than 50% in most countries. So, according to the report, no, yung mga kinulate nilang data coming from different countries that nagre-report sa UN, no, kapansin-pansin na merong pagbaba almost 50%, no, of the crime rate involving crimes against property. Ganun yung binaba ng kriminalidad, no, during the pandemic, no. So it is also noticeable, no, kapansin-pansin din na yung mas mataas ang pag-decrease ng crime rate doon sa mga bansa na nagpatupad ng mas mahigpit na lockdown, no, mas mahigpit na protocols when it comes to addressing the problem on the COVID-19 pandemic, ano. So mas stricto, mas mataas, or yes, mas mataas ang binaba, no, ng crime rate nila if we are going to look into their crime rate relative to property crimes, no. So ang ine-speculate ng report nito, no, ang tinitignan nilang dahilan of the decline, no, ng crime rate involving this type of crime, classification of crime, is yung decrease in the number of crimes committed, no. Isa na yun, syempre hindi lang naman tayo, no, yung apektado sa lockdown, hindi lang naman tayo yung hindi nakakagalaw ng maayos sa lockdown, hindi nakakalabas ng maayos sa lockdown, no. Damay na rin dyan ang ating mga criminals, no, kasi sila din, no, ay nabawasan na ng opportunity. I mean, nabawasan na ng nabawasan ang kanilang mobility, no, yung kanilang galaw, no, kaya't ganun ang naging epekto niyan, no. Hindi na sila makakapag-commit ng crime. Bakit? Kasi hindi sila masyadong nakakalabas-labas. At the same time, no, sino nga ba naman ang bibiktimahin mo sa labas kung wala namang tao na talagang lumalabas. So etong topic natin na ito, no, guys, we can relate this to at least two, no, criminological theories. Ito yung tinatawag nating opportunity theory or opportunity theory and strain theory, no. Later on dadalawin natin yung topic na yan, ano. So another, no, isa pa sa tinitignan nilang dahilan ng pagbaba ng crime rate during the pandemic is yung capability of the victim, no, to report, no, nabawasan because of the lockdown. Syempre, no, there are possible crimes that are transpiring. May possibility na meron pa ring mga kriminalidad na nangyayari sa ating society. Ang problema nga lang is nababawasan yung capability ng mga biktima na yan na lumabas, no, I mean mag-report, kasi nga hindi sila, kumbaga our mobility, no, yung galaw natin, yung kilos natin, or all limited because of this pandemic and because of the different restriction that they're applying. So yun yung pinaka-major factors na tinitignan ng researcher with regards to the decrease of the crime rate during the pandemic time. We know for a fact that it holds truth naman to that, no, because we know that the lockdown really, no, restricted not only the movement of us, no, as not only the movement of the criminals but also the movement of the victim, you know. So actually there was a report that I encountered, no, ang dinidiscuss is during this pandemic time, no, mas may potential na tumaas ang kriminalidad kasi nga especially for domestic abuses, no, yan yung mga pang-aabuso na involving yung mga either yung parent to children, no, husband to wife, mga ganong uri ng kriminalidad. So ina-expect nila na tataas itong mga crime rate na ito, itong mga specific crime na ito. Why? Kasi nag-i-stay na sila ngayon or nagkakaroon sila ng mas maraming time na mag-stay doon sa kanilang sa loob ng kanilang pamamahay, which of course kapag halimbawa abusive ang parent mo, no, abusive ang parent mo, ikaw yung anak nila, no, you are more at risk now kasi nga si mother at father mo hindi na lumalabas, so mas may time, or kumbaga is mas mahaba ang exposure mo sa kanila ngayon, ano. So if they're abusive, you are at risk of being victimized of this so-called domestic abuses or domestic violence and so on. So it could be vice versa also, no? Halimbawa yung husband abusive, and then the wife, no, since pandemic nasa loob lang sila ng bahay, meaning the more exposure, no, that the wife will be getting, then the higher the chances of course that he will be victimized or she will be victimized by her abuser. So yun yung mga tinitignan nating issues, ano. But as I've stated that we should set that aside first, no, kasi I wanted to focus on the property crime. Okay, so when we are looking at the effect, no, kung effect kasi yung tinitignan natin, guys, i-define muna natin. Kailangan natin tignan ano nga bang in what perspective natin gustong malaman. Are we looking at the long-term effect of the pandemic to the property crime, or are we looking at the short-term effect of the pandemic to the property crime? Kasi dalawa yan, guys, no? When it comes to long-term effect, I mean, let's talk first about the short-term effect, no, of the pandemic to the property crimes. So, meron tayo dito sabi ng UNODC, no, doon sa kanilang study, okay? Crime can be affected by lockdown restriction. Crime can be affected by lockdown restriction in combination with the pre-existing factors. So, ang situation natin ngayon, the pre-pandemic situation that we have, could add to the existing factor already that causes the increase of property crimes for short term. In short, guys, na nagkaroon ng decline, no, or nagkaroon ng decrease ng crime rate involving property crimes during the pandemic, and we are looking that as only as short-term effect. No, short-term effect lang yan. Kasi nga, bakit hindi naman tayo habang buhay na mare-restrict yung movement natin, hindi naman habang buhay na mare-restrict ang ating movement. Actually, ngayon nga, no, medyo naglalax na sila. Ibig sabihin, nagluluwag na sila ng mga restriction, which means, no, that the different factors before that causes the increase of property crimes pwede nang bumalik, no. So the effect of the pandemic to the property crimes, no, which is it decreases the crime rate of property crimes, no, yun yung kanyang short-term effect lamang. Okay, so if we are looking at the crime statistic right now, no, or before, no, during the first wave of the restriction, no, during the first wave of the community quarantine and so on, talagang merong pagbabago, merong pagbaba doon sa crime rate. But now, no, habang naglalax na tayo, bumabalik na tayo sa dati, no, bumabalik na tayo doon sa or papunta na tayo doon sa new normal where we are recovering already to the different restriction imposed, no? Babalik na rin tayo, or babalik na rin yung mga predisposing factors that increases the chances of one person to engage into property crime. So yun yung ating tinitignan, which is very much negative, ano. So kung long-term effect ang titignan natin of the pandemic to the property crime, mas maano yan, no? Kumbaga is we should be very much vigilant to it, no. Dapat ito yung actually paghandaan ng ating gobyerno, no, yung magiging effect or long-term effect ng pandemic na ito sa ating crime rate, specifically sa property crimes. We know for a fact, no, na pagpasok ng pandemic, no, ang daming nagsarang businesses, ang daming nawalan ng trabaho. Ibig sabihin is yung mga vulnerable groups already, no? Yung mga pre-pandemic vulnerable groups na sila. Ibig sabihin sila yung mga nasa below poverty line. Mas lalo silang nahirapan, no? Ngayon, na bumabalik na tayo unti-unti doon sa dati, the more chances na etong mga ito, no, will be much more aggressive in committing property crimes. Yan. Kasi during the pandemic, wala silang kumbaga mahirap na nga ang kanilang buhay, mas lalo pa silang naghirap during the pandemic. Now, if we're going to predict the behavior of this group, itong mga ito na may predisposing factor na to criminality ngayon, mas pwede nating i-expect na magdoble, no, or pwedeng magtriple ang magiging crime rate natin when it comes to property crime once na bumalik na tayo sa new normal, or bumalik na tayo sa normal sa normal nating sitwasyon, no? So yan yung dapat natin actually paghandaan, na yung magiging long-term effect nito, kasi hindi natin masasabi that yung effect na yan will only last for 1 year or 2 years and so on until makarecover na din sila. No? Yung long-term effect, yun yung talagang dapat paghandaan, kasi nga even after pandemic, kung halimbawa ma-resolve natin ito, balik na tayo sa normal situation natin, ibig sabihin wala nang restriction and so on, wala nang social distancing and so on. So meron pa rin, kumbaga, is yung mga dating na-suppress na criminal activity before, pwede silang mag-shoot out, pwede silang mag-surge after the relaxation of the different pandemic, the different quarantine protocols that we have. So yun yung talagang tignan natin. Now, to explain further, as I've mentioned kanina, at least there are 2 criminological theories that we can use para ma-substantiate yung mga sinasabi natin, as pointed out by the report of the UNODC, on property crime. Now, we made mention of the opportunity theory. How did that affected the crime rate during the pandemic? Sabi nga natin, during the pandemic, the mobility were limited. Ang mobility natin, as well as the criminals, restricted talaga, limited lang yan, hindi ka masyado makalabas ng bahay, so they don't have opportunity to commit crime kasi hindi sila nakakalabas. Alangan namang biktimahin mo yung mga sarili mong pamilya pa rin. So that's not possible. Ngayon, at the same time, yung mga tao, kumbaga walang umpukan, walang gathering and so on, which is, alam niyo naman, pag sinabi nating property crime, ang tinitake advantage nila dyan, yung mga gathering na, yung mga mass gathering na yan, yung mga festival na yan, di ba? Halimbawa, snatcher, saan ba pumipwesto ang mga snatcher? Usually, sa mga maraming matataong lugar, right now, during the pandemic, the first wave of the quarantine, di ba? Meron tayong restriction on mobility, so walang gathering, social distancing ka pa, if in case there are businesses that are open, like for example grocery store, limited din lang yung pinapapasok doon, so kumbaga, lesser ang opportunity na i-provide ng situation natin ngayon during the pandemic, during the quarantine, to criminals. So that is why there is the decrease, isa yan sa pwedeng nag-decrease ng crime rate on property crimes, Mang-snatch ka, paano yan? We are following social distancing protocol. Paano ka makakapang-snatch nun, Paano ka makakasalisin yun kung limited lang ang mga taong pumapasok sa mga business establishments and so on, Paano ka makakakommit ng crime when you need to show your ID, you need to show your pass, mga ganong bagay. So lahat ng ito nakatulong sa pagbaba, ng crime rate involving property crimes, So that is opportunity. Ang pino-point out lang dito is because of the pandemic, because of the community restrictions, lesser ang opportunity na ngayon, na pwedeng i-take advantage ng mga criminals, So the decrease can be related to the opportunity theory that we have in criminology. Now, the problem here is that yung strain theory naman, no? Strain theory naman, ito naman yung nagpre-predict kumbaga ng magiging possible effect nito in the long term, no? In the long run. So, sabi ng strain theory, no? Kasi alam naman natin what is being discussed under strain theory, ano? Kumbaga is the different social stressor, yun yung kumbaga nagbibigay sa iyo ng motivation to commit crime, no? Like for example, you belong to the vulnerable group already, no? Meron ka ng kumbaga is naghihirap ka na pre-pandemic pa, bago pa mag-pandemic, mahirap ng buhay mo, no? Pagdating ng pandemic, nagkaroon ng restriction, hindi ka makapaghanap buhay ng maayos, ano? And hindi ka maka-sideline, wala ka talagang mapagkuhanan during the pandemic, no? So kumbaga yung strain, no, yung stress na binibigay sa iyo ng current situation natin ngayon, mas doble pa kumbaga, no, sa normal, kasi mahirap ka na during before pandemic, mas lalo kang naghirap ngayon. What are you going to think now? Ano yung iisipin mo? The more that you're going to have these negative thoughts, no, the more that you will develop yung sinasabi nating negative atmosphere, no, which will pressure you more to engage into criminality, no? Yun yung sinasabi natin under strain theory. So the graphical representation of this is like bumaba yung opportunity, no, which is good, no, kasi it causes the decrease of criminality during the lockdown, during the quarantine, during the community quarantine, no? Pero yung strain naman, or kumbaga yung stressor na ito, yung mga factors na nagko-cause ng criminality, no, like for example poverty, no, lack of education, frustration, no, conflicts, no, to social classes, tumaas, no, because of the pandemic. So what are we going to expect now? Ngayon, di ba, habang bakit ulit nagkaroon tayo ng pag-decrease doon sa opportunity curve? It is because of the quarantine protocols. It's because of the community quarantine. Pero habang bumabalik na tayo doon sa normal, no, nagiging normal na ang sitwasyon natin, kumbaga tumataas na ulit yung opportunity, no? And then dati nang mataas yung strain, no, strain factors na yan. What are we going to expect now? So, pagtaas ng opportunity, no, mataas na dati yung strain, no, mataas pa lalo yung strain, kasi sabi ko nga, kung dito sana yung strain, yung level, no, ng presence ng stressor pre-pandemic, bago magka-pandemic, then biglang nagka-pandemic, dumoble, no, so sobrang taas na siya, no. Ngayon, nababalance siya kasi mababa, no. Ibig sabihin, kahit halimbawa si Mr. Pedro gusto niyang mag-commit ng crime, no, magnakaw, pero dahil mababa ang opportunity, nababalance pa rin yung criminality. Kumbaga, hindi pa rin tumataas gaano kasi nga wala pang opportunity. Pero kung tumataas na yung opportunity, mas lalong tataas yung strain. Then we would expect that after the pandemic, no, after na mag-relax, no, maalis na yung mga quarantine protocols na yan, we will expect that there will be a surge into the crime rates, especially, no, on crimes against property after all these quarantine measures will be removed, no. So that is what we can tell, no, about the property crime, no, during this pandemic time. Kumbaga na-suppress lang siya ngayon because we lessen, no, the pandemic protocols lessen the opportunity, but after, no, pag binalik na lahat ng binalik na lahat sa normal, wala nang mga restrictions sa movement ng tao, we will expect that there will be a surge into property crimes. Okay, so that's our topic for today. That is how I think the pandemic affected the crime rate, specifically property crimes, no. It in the in the short term, no, it is good because there is a sudden decrease, and that is of course can be related to opportunity, no. So but then, no, ang negative effect naman nito is that after the pandemic, no, pag alis na natin ng mga quarantine measures natin, that's the time that we could expect surge, no? Biglang pagtaas ng crime rate, no? Especially on property crime. So we must be very careful, ano? So I think the law enforcer and the government itself should make a way already, should prepare a plan already on how are they going to deal with this. Kasi, kumbaga is, ito na yung problem that is brewing, no? From the noses, I mean, sa harap natin ngayon, no? Ito na yung ine-expect nating mangyayari after na maalis na itong mga quarantine measures na ito. So we should be prepared for that, no? So what we can do, no, of course, we should be more vigilant, no? We should prepare ourselves, and we should not that much trustful to anyone, kasi alam natin marami na ngayon ang magsasamantala. Actually ngayon nga nakikita na natin, ano, for example, online, sa online na yan, yung mga nagbebenta, no? So marami ng ganyan, no? Yung mga scam and so on, marami na, no? So ngayon talagang nagsisimula na sila, no? And once na talagang totally remove, no, the government will totally remove these different quarantine protocols, that's the time mas lalo pa yung tataas, no? At our level bilang isang ordinaryong mamamayan, ano ang pwede nating gawin para nang sa ganun ay hindi tayo mabiktima o hindi tayo madawit dito? Syempre, no, maging security conscious tayo, especially when we are dealing with properties or monies and so on, no? Maging vigilant tayo kasi maraming lilitaw ngayon, no? Maraming magsisilabasan ngayon ng mga criminals, no, that ang target nila is to get your property or get your finances and so on. Okay? So ayan, no, if natapos mo ang ating topic for today, no? By the way, guys, if meron akong mga schools na hindi nabanggit diyan na sumusuporta sa atin, no? Huwag kayong mahiyang mag-comment sa baba para ma-recognize natin kayo, no? So thank you guys, no? I hope I was able to impart some valuable knowledge with regards to the topic that we discussed today, no? That's it for today, guys. See you on the next video. Bye bye.